What's up everyone, welcome back to Thinking Cap, and in this FPL video, it's my Game Week 4 preview, where I'll be discussing the latest injury news, as well as goal and clean sheet projections for the Game Week 4 fixtures. I'm also going to be taking a look at what players you should be investing in ahead of Game Week 4. If you enjoyed this one, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Thinking Cap activated. Start with the injury updates. First with Martin Odegaard, Arsenal's captain. He picked up a nasty ankle injury and his current return time is estimated to be a couple months, which isn't good for Arsenal at all. They play Tottenham away and they play Man City away after that, and they've also got an away fixture in the Champions League sandwiched between that, so it's a very tough period for Arsenal. They've just lost their captain, so this isn't very good for them, but it also probably means Havertz will drop into the 8 or the 10 position for them, and Jesus and Trossard will probably be playing one of the two, will be playing center forward, which means there's probably some additional value in a Jesus or a Trossard now. I do think Havertz is a slightly worse pick because of this, but not all that much, to be honest. It's not a massive difference because I can still see him scoring some goals from late runs into the box, similar to McTominay last season, but he won't have the chances that he's getting playing as the out and out 9, for Arsenal. He won't be getting that kind of level of chances, but I still see him doing pretty well. Aston Villa's Ezri Konsa limped off in the England-Finland game around the 62nd minute. It seems to be a bone bruise, but I do expect him back this weekend because it's not really that serious. It was just like a little kick on the shin, so let's see what Emery has to say about this on Friday. Brighton midfielder Carlos Baleba was substituted late on in an international friendly. I haven't had any clarity on what the injury was. It could just be a little case of, cramps or niggles, but it's one to monitor because they've sold Gilmour and Pascal Gross. Brighton's midfield depth is weaker than previous seasons, and if Baleba is out, that just could be the difference between a couple clean sheets for Brighton in the next two or no clean sheets. Harvey Elliott picked up a foot fracture. He'll be out for a while, and I expect this to impact Szoboszlai negatively, who has now no real cover for that number 10 position. Who the hell is gonna be playing for him when he needs a rest? And Szoboszlai, it's not like he's a 90-minute man, 90-minute machine. He's made of bread. Like, his injury record is not that good. So yes, look, I know McAllister can play that position. I just doubt that Slot will want to move McAllister from the deeper role he's been playing in the double pivot with Gravenberch, because that pivot's been working really, really well. I don't think that Slots will want to change anything in that kind of system. So I do believe, look, McAllister is fine. He got the knock in Argentina's first game, and in the second game, he was benched, but he came on the pitch for 30 minutes. So he's played minutes after getting the knock. I'm sure he'll be fine. But with that being said, he's already picking up knocks, and Elliott's already out long term. It's just indicating to me that Liverpool's squad is already thinning out, and they haven't even reached the hectic period where they're playing 3-4 days at a time every single week, and that's going to kill their squad. Nathan Ake was stretchered off against Germany. That looked like a very serious injury, should be a couple months as well, but City do have good defensive coverage. This should improve Gvardiol's expected minutes as well as Rico Lewis's too, as he can play both sides of the pitch. Mosquera from Wolves, he was stretchered off in the 88th minute after scoring a great goal against Argentina. He seemed fine in the press conference he did afterwards, but let's wait for Gary O'Neill's press conference on Friday for a proper update. Now, if he is out, I do think Newcastle attackers probably have the best fixture this game week, and I'll show you why in the next section. So what you're looking at here is all of the game week 4 fixtures, and you can see each team's projected goals as well as their clean sheet odds. At the top of goal projections for Game Week 4 is Newcastle, projected 2.9 goals, so even without the Mosquera injury, Newcastle attackers look good for some returns on Sunday. I think people will overlook this fixture because, it's away from home. Liverpool and City have good home fixtures and both of them have been scoring goals, but I wouldn't sleep on Newcastle this game week. I think you should definitely hold your Newcastle attackers if you still have them, because their projected goal value is the highest. Even if they don't score the most goals in the game week, it's highly likely they will be within the top 2 or 3 top scoring teams for game week 4. Aston Villa and Man City both projected 2.4 goals in their fixtures, which, it just makes sense, right? Both teams are very strong at home, and they've both got good home fixtures. Villa playing Everton at home, and City playing Brentford. City, they have the strong. City also have the strongest chance for a clean sheet with 63%. If you're on wildcard, I'd seriously be considering Gvardiol or Rico Lewis as a 4th or 5th defender. Brighton are the second most likely to pick up a clean this game week with 54% chance. Then it's Crystal Palace with a 48% chance. Both of them are playing promoted teams at home, so that's pretty understandable from a fixtures perspective. Liverpool's projected goals is only at 2.2, which is much lower than what I was expecting, but analytically, Forest have been defending very well. They're sitting second behind Man City only in the league table for expected goals conceded across the first 3 games. But after this fixture, I do expect them to slide down that table. As Liverpool are a top attacking side, they will put up at least 2 XG, and I'm happy to put my life on that. I mean, they are very, very good attack at Anfield, one of the hottest stadiums to play at in the world. So I think it's looking pretty good if you've got a Salah, if you've got a Diaz, if you've got a Jota. And 2.2, that's only 0.2 behind City's projected goals for Game Week 4. So yeah, it's still very favorable, and the clean sheet odds are great as well. Now, we're going to check out the best players to pick up this game week, starting with my favorite fake premium defender. If you're looking to offload a Paro or a Romero this game week, I'd consider Tyrick Mitchell from Crystal Palace. He's priced at 4.9 million, very low ownership, and he's got really good fixtures in the next 2. So if you're like, for example, on a wildcard 6 strategy, you're looking for a defender to pick up this week with some good value, and you just look at Brighton, you're like, yeah, 2 home games, but if they lose Baleba, I can see Ipswich and Forest scoring in those games. And if you look at Villa, who've also got 2 home games, you look at, okay, Everton and Wolves, but Konza has the doubt. Sometimes Emery will just drop Pau Torres out of nowhere. Cash isn't there. Digne and Matson, oh god, I don't even want to touch that. So if you're looking at Palace's fixtures, you're thinking, Leicester at home, promoted team. Then you got Man United at home, and they smashed Man United last season. So I do think there actually is some pretty good value in the next 2 fixtures. And if you compare him to Munoz has just started 2 games for Colombia in the international break. He's been playing a lot of minutes, so I just think Mitchell's going to be a tiny bit sharper, a little bit more rested, and having Eze on his side of the pitch, I think it's going to be a blessing in disguise for Tyrick Mitchell. His touch map indicates very strong signs of attacking potential, and he's got really, really great expected minutes. You don't even need to worry about a benching or anything, and you can only expect that Palace defense to improve from here. They've gone and signed Lacroix and Chalobah, who did play behind closed doors friendly over the international break, which will be interesting to see how Glasner actually lines up for that if Chalobah is ready. Chalobah, by the way, priced at 4.4 million. One to watch, definitely. Just on Mitchell's XG and XA, they are low, but they're decent for a defender. And, I just like the Palace fixtures. I just think, Glasner, he'll start to build and pick up some points in these next 2 home fixtures. I'm just expecting 1 clean sheet from Palace defense in the next 2. Back-to-back home games, I think there's a clean sheet in there. And with what Mitchell has been offering and the positions he's been taking up, there's definitely potential for an attacking return and a clean sheet in the next 2. And I don't think many other defenders at his price point can offer that. From a long-term perspective, I'm not as confident as Mitchell, as he has some tougher games longer term, but his next 6 are very solid. A couple of tough games in there, but look, United, Liverpool, and Tottenham, they're all at home, so I think it's decent, and the away games are good too. Next is my favorite 4.5 million defender, and that is Van Hecke at the moment. Now, Brighton's fixtures, they rotate very well with Arsenal, who are obviously an elite defense, so adding a Brighton defender to your FPL arsenal, yeah, you get what I mean. Adding them to your arsenal of players, it looks to be a very sound strategy. So I like Van Hecke over Dunk because I just think he's got a yellow card in him in the next 2, whereas I think Van Hecke, he's already picked up a yellow, so I'm kind of just predicting some Van Hecke jam there, and I just like backing the lower owned option compared to Dunk. I think this is one of the spots where perhaps I'm more willing to go against the template option, which will be Lewis Dunk transferred in. He's already very, very close to a price rise. If we look at Dunk's XG, it's only a little bit higher than that of Van Hecke's, who is, he's decent, and I know he went on international duty. Perhaps Dunk has more rest, recovery time, and he's had the international break at Brighton, which I think will be valuable. I'm just backing the differential here, and I think he's a very good option. Someone that I was looking at. I did own him at 4 million last season. I think he did very solid for me. Got me a clean sheet when I needed it. So I'm just backing him on this one, hoping that I come out with more points versus the field. Let's see what happens, but I think some other really good options at 4.5, if you're looking at a long-term strategy, is Leif Davis from Ipswich Town. He has Brighton away, obviously, this week, but then after that, it's Southampton away, which is a pretty good fixture. I mean, Southampton have looked very, very poor. So he's a very good option. He would be probably my second to the Brighton defenders. And that's just because, there's uncertainty around the fullbacks at Brighton. Kadioglu's joined, and I know that he's been in training for the past 2 days, but will he start that game against Ipswich? I'm just not sure. And then you've got Estupiñán. Yes, he did play, but he's a little bit more expensive, and I kind of want to see him in a couple games because he's picked up a lot of injuries last season and coming into this season, which I do worry for him. So I just want to see what happens. You might be wondering why I'm recommending Mbeumo to buy this game week, because he's got City. But I'm saying this mainly for the people who probably can afford to bench him this week. Even if you have to play him, it's not that bad. I mean, he is a penalty taker, he has good routes to points. He could find something against City, I wouldn't be surprised. But if you do have a good 8th attacker with a favorable fixture, I think picking up Mbeumo a week early is very, very good. He's a 7 million mid on penalties for Brentford, who's currently just playing 90 minutes every game week. His non-pen expected goals is very good. He offers that creative assist threat too. You can have a look at his XA. And he's going to be in the template by game week 6. Picking him up a week early means you get a lower price and a low-owned Mbeumo for Spurs, and then you'll catch all those price rises, which is amazing. Squad value is going to be very important this season. That's something I've spoken about on my channel a lot. My favorite budget midfielder is Semenyo. Just look at his XG and XA. It's way higher than Mbeumo, and his minutes have been very, very good too. 90 average across the first 3 games. Since Solanke left, it just seems that Antoine has seen a massive increase in his goal share and, the goal involvement share at Bournemouth. And this just feels like, Semenyo's breakout season. So if you're in need of a sub 6 million mid, I'd go with him. I know the fixtures, look, the next fixtures, they're not very good. Chelsea at home, and then it's Liverpool away. In 5, much tougher than, let's say a Minte, who is probably the second best option in my mind. But I just think for the value that he offers, you get him in now. And especially, look, if you're not on wildcard 6, I would be looking at Semenyo 100%, because if you're on 6, it's a different story. You're only looking to maximize the next 2 fixtures, right, with your transfer. Definitely just go to Minte in that case. Or maybe even a McGinn if you really like Villa's fixtures, you like McGinn's, and maybe you think McGinn will be on penalties. But, if you can bench him in 5 and play him for 6 and 7, and then game week 10 onwards, Bournemouth have really, really good fixtures. So he's a great pick if you need somebody longer term, basically, and you're not wildcarding in the next couple weeks. I would definitely recommend picking up Antoine Semenyo. And yeah, like I said, Yankuba Minte for the next 2. He is the guy I would be going for at 5.5. We saw the Brighton fixtures, 4 and 5, Ipswich, then Forest at home, both at home. If you go with him and then on your wildcard you exit out to Semenyo, for his good fixtures, that works really well too. Finally, Joao Pedro is the forward that I would recommend moving to this week. He did get a late call-up to Brazil, and he did play half an hour in Brazil's final game against Paraguay, but he's made it through with no injury. I've seen his plane fly back. He's in Manchester as we speak, I think, and he will be starting in Game Week 4, I believe. I think Hertzler really trusts him, and considering how well he's been doing, I expect him to return very nicely in 4 and 5. The biggest doubt with JP was the expected minutes, and Hertzler's been giving him very, very, very good minutes. He seems to be one of Brighton's most trusted attackers alongside Kaoru Mitoma, who, by the way, if you don't like Mbeumo, I would be moving to Mitoma because he's looking nice. He picked up a couple assists, I think, over the international break. So but anyways, back to JP. His XG, XA, very good. And, I just rate the player highly. Been following him and know him since the Watford days. Think he's a good player. And he's also on penalties, and he's nailed on penalties as well. It's in his contract with Brighton, and he's just the best cheap forward in the game. If he gets 2 more returns in the next 2, his price will fly to the moon. By game week 6, he'll be probably 6.2, 6.3, 6.4. So get him in now and just watch your team value fly, because that boy is going to the moon. That's a wrap on my Game Week 4 preview. If you enjoyed this one, then smash the like button, subscribe to my channel, and look, if you've got any dilemmas, drop them down in the comments section and I'll help you out. My weekly best captain video will be out tomorrow, so keep an eye out for that one. Peace.